Welcome back, Coach Ron Tunick and Tommy Cairns. Today we're just kind of talking amongst ourselves here, also dedicating the show, as I said earlier, to Coach Greg Herrick of College of the Canyons, and a lot of new listeners. Don Tabak, big shout out to you. Harry Manfredini, big shout out to you. Greg Tilson, Isabel, God, we have so many new listeners. And of course, dedicating the show to, they just save my butt every day, Resurgence IT. They do IT work for businesses. Too bad they don't do it for homeowners.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but they're great. Yeah. Resurgence IT. So if you're unhappy with your whoever you're working with. Anyway,
is Coach Herrick? That's not the former coach.
No,
okay.
Yeah, that was. I think that was Jim Herrick.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were related.
So, just real quick on the White House: 54,900 square feet, 6 floors, and then I don't know if that counts the bowling alley or the basement.
I bet they count every little space that's there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, probably.
And then the grounds were the grounds country club good? Do you think?
They were very nice, actually. The summer we were there, we were invited for the 4th of July to watch the fireworks, and it happened to be President Bush's birthday, I think July 3rd or somewhere around there, and they actually brought in ice cream that was Texas ice cream and that. So we sat on the lawn in the back. And
is that Bluebell? Kind of is it Texas?
Actually, it was Bluebell. There you go.
Coach knows some stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
Isn't that amazing how much stuff I know that nobody cares about? I mean, my wife says I know more stuff that literally nobody cares about, except me. I mean, just me. Also, I'm doing a tribute to Vince Scully, so be looking for that on Facebook. I'd love to have you Facebook me, Coach Ron Tunick. Are you on Facebook?
You know
what? You don't seem to care about Facebook.
I'm not very active there.
You're big on that other one that I'm not big on.
LinkedIn, yeah.
LinkedIn. Yeah. I need to get a lesson on LinkedIn because for if you're looking for a job or want to improve your job or meet people, I mean, that is a useful social media tool.
It's the number one business social network site.
Yeah, and I have to learn how to work. I mean, I know how to work it, but I don't know how to work it. All right. Mm-hmm. So I said before I went to break, something that's troublesome to me, and that is the underage, the 35 and under crowd. All they want to do is be entertained. And that concerns me in 3 areas. This is a show about jobs, careers, inspiring you to do better. So if their goal is to spend money on a site that entertains them, and all they're interested in is watching videos and playing games and really just being entertained, what's going to happen to the future of this country in this regard? What's going to happen to the jobs? What kind of jobs are there going to be for this group that just wants to be entertained? What is the outcome? When we start the show, before we went on the air, you said something very important, and that is, what are they going to consume? Because if they're not going to consume the things that go into a home, if their goal is not to buy a home till they're 50, remember our goal was to get in a home in our 20s.
Yes.
So if you get into a home, you need carpet, you need drapes, you need furniture, you need appliances, right? Yeah. These are industries that employ people. So if we stop buying the things like those things, what happens to our economy?
Right.
And so forth and so on. So your take on this thing?
Yeah, you know what is interesting, and this snuck up on me and I didn't know it, that the largest generation right now in the workplace are millennials. And I was thinking it was boomers, and over the past 5-10 years, boomers have started retiring, and we've known that, but I didn't realize the shift that has occurred. So this is very impactful, obviously, in terms of the jobs that millennials will pursue, as well as what they want to consume. Is interesting from that standpoint that boomers still have the cash and they still have the money, where the millennials are still,
interesting.
Building
so as an interesting, so I'm surprised too. I'm guessing that most of the jobs are in technology or service.
The majority of, we're a service economy right now, and that has shifted where the manufacturing jobs are not. And
so they have money to spend on entertainment, right? Because they don't have a big fat mortgage.
Right. Yeah. No.
Interesting, isn't it?
Exactly. And I was doing a little research too when we think about the things that influence our economy, little less known history kind of things, where the Industrial Revolution was what really mustered in and made a major adjustment from an agrarian society where we were farm, and then industrial came in, and then that's when manufacturing happened. Where we are right now, and it's still being defined, is the Internet of Things, which goes back to that technology piece, that we're connecting all of our lives via technology, which would make you think that all the jobs would be technological jobs. But software development is only one aspect of that. You still need to have ideas for what you want to connect. And I think that's where so that kind of shift where I would be making a widget. Now I'm thinking about, well, what widget do I want to make? Is being on that creative end of things, because you can make it, you can connect it because of the way the technology is moving. But that's going to be a piece that I think, where we've talked before about entrepreneurship being a key driver among millennials, and I think that's a piece that if I was a millennial, I'd be thinking, well, what can I create? What can I invent? And not be thinking about the next Facebook, but be thinking about a particular product or a service that in some aspect may be connected to the internet.
Well, everything you're saying, I think you're spot on. I think when you look at what the millennials are interested in besides entertainment, is new ideas to make their life better, to make the world better. I'll give them that.
Yes.
There was an article in the LA Times today about what the heck's his name? About he's building a drone.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that article?
No, I didn't see it.
So you have these growths in these smaller entrepreneurial companies taking advantage of solar. So now you have solar backpacks. Mm-hmm. And we'll all be driving an electric car. There's no question about that.
Exactly, and or we may not be driving it; it'll be driving us. So that's. But I think another aspect of this is that there'll still be financial pieces, marketing, sales, the IT, the HR.
Well, go slow there. Back up. So the guy, GoPro Inc., known for its rugged camcorder, I'm reading now the LA Times, for its outdoor adventures, has unveiled a compact drone designed to record people's treks from above. So
Okay.
The chief executive, Nick Woodman, is introducing this affordable, it's called the Karma Quadcopter. So stuff is coming down the pike that you and I, even 10 years ago, couldn't even imagine. Robots, you're right.
Yeah.
Cars that are going to, probably 10 years, electric cars that are driving us, we'll all have our own little robot. So I would love, seriously, to have a robot to do the dishes,
Mm-hmm.
or dry the dishes, or help my staff clean out the dishwasher. My staff's not listening to the radio show now, so I can say that.
Well,
you can figure out who my staff is, right?
And what you're pointing out is that even though we have all these technological advancements, there are still some very pragmatic, fundamental things that have to happen to support all of those aspects. So I think that's a piece that the jobs where they are and where they're going, there are some pieces that are going to be perpetuated themselves. So I see that continuing to be.
Very nice.
All right.
Very, very nice.
We are a high-tech show.
Very
as everybody
nice.
can tell.
So I want to change subjects. So I was thinking about our interview today, and I was thinking about this one question, and the question is talent. Talent, can you acquire it? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we have been stagnant for years now of people getting raises. Mm-hmm. And if people are not getting raises, why? Is it because there's a lack of talent, a perception that the employee isn't really being productive enough to give them a raise? Is there a perception that there's so many people to replace you in the workplace that, look, I don't need to give you a raise, Joe, because you know what? If you don't like your job, I got 20 people in the hallway wanting to take your job. So for somebody like yourself, literally, that has been involved in close to 500,000 people over the last 25 years of your life, where you have interviewed them for a job, you've fired them, resumes, can you tell me, was talent ever discussed in the corporate boardroom? Was talent, because as an entrepreneur, talent, you've heard the expression cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
Well, in the entrepreneurial world, cream does rise to the top. Talent does show itself. So if you're listening to my voice, and I'm Coach Ron Tunick on a show called Job Talk 1 with Tommy Cairns, you can listen to us on KHTS AM 1220, or go it's hometown station, ladies and gentlemen, but our website, we like it. It's growing. It's not exactly where we want it. It's a good start. You can see what we look like. It's called JobTalk1.com. But talent, can you acquire it?
The way that say corporate America would view and look at talent, they look at that from the standpoint of, say, skills and abilities. So they'll break it down to very specific things.
Do you know why I'm asking this question? You probably don't know.
No, I don't know.
Last night, I'm watching the Philadelphia Eagles play the miserable, sissy-based Chicago Bears.
Okay. Oh.
They paid a lineman $60 million guaranteed bonus on a $104 million contract because their perception is the most talented defensive lineman in the NFL. To me, it's an absurd sum of money.
Right.
Absurd sum of money.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but that's another show. So in the real world, if you have that much talent, are you going to get paid?
Using that sports example, and when you so $60 million, if we broke that down from a productivity standpoint and say, well, how many tackles would that individual have to make, how many blocks or whatever it is, when you really calculate that out over an 11 game or how many ever it is for a season, he's walking away not very productive in my mind. I don't,
Well, let's say for the next 3 years he's productive. Let's give it to him. Okay, so you take that's 51 games. So take $60 million. That was guaranteed, right? $60 million, and divide it by 51 games. That's $1,176,000 a game.
And then the
$1,176,000.
It makes no sense. I mean, it makes no sense. There's no logic to it. Yeah. And
so in the real world,
but that's the example of the industry, where within that area, that's how things have become.
So in the real world, does talent matter? Absolutely. Does it always get noticed? No.
Or compensated in that same fashion.
But here's my frustration. Where in our society, where in the educational system are people talking about talent? I never hear it discussed.
Well, the element or the value and the importance of it, or it is somewhat just thrown out there as this, in this case, this person was the most talented individual out there. Well, you're yet to see what they actually perform and how they do it as well.
So Marianne's texting me right now, your wife. She's asking me, what's your talent? How did you achieve, because you're still a young man, how did you achieve so much success in your life? What do you think your talent is? When you get to the pearly gates and St. Peter's standing there and he's got his clipboard out, he says, welcome to heaven, and you're in the executive line, Mr. Cairns, welcome to heaven, we've been expecting you. By the way, before you get in the gates, can you tell us what your talent is?
Well, what I basically believe when I'm at the pearly gates, I'm not getting in there on my talent. I'm getting in there from a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's my entree there. So thankfully, it's not based on. But if I had to describe or say talent, then from that perspective, it's a great question. I mean, it really is. I think we got a sound effect for that. as well. But I do think, coming back to can talent be acquired, I do think and that yes, talent can be developed. Most definitely, there are things that I believe fundamentally that we are born with, and then hopefully those are the things that we can continue to develop, and hopefully somebody would actually pay us for that talent. And so I think that's the formula there somewhere has to be that someone's willing to pay you for what you're really good at doing.
Don't you think, Tom Cairns, the show is called Job Talk 1. So glad that you tuned in. Big shout out to Phil Raymond, dedicating the show today to Coach Greg Herrick of College of the Canyons and our show. Personally, I want to thank Resurgent IT for saving my butt every day. I think the most valuable talent you can have is personally trusting yourself, so that you can make better decisions. But personal leadership, it seems to me that you can develop personal leadership, that you can go and find ways to inspire other people. You can find ways to be a role model. And where is this stuff talked about, man?
Right.
This is the frustrating part. We desperately need leaders. Look at what's happened to our country because we're leaderless. When you look in the minority communities, where are their leaders? When you look in our community, where are our leaders? So you got these two, I was going to say clowns. I'm not saying clowns.
Right.
Not saying clowns at all. But these two human beings running for President of the United States. This is it. This is the best. This is the best we have. Are you serious?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to be mean, but we should have. I don't know. I'm getting off on a rant here, but so talent. If you've got a son or a granddaughter or a grandson or an aunt or an uncle or a nephew or a niece, at the end of the day, it is about talent. It's going to be recognized. Look, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. There's so many stories of people that aren't the brightest light bulb on a tree, and who have great success in life because they were able to find that one talent and they were able to monetize it.
And that's you said the magic word there, is that aspect of monetizing it or finding someone, or in today's day and age too, is that you can start your own business if I'm good at making cupcakes or I have some other element, there, and if you can continue to develop and have people buy your product, you're not limited. I also believe that from a talent standpoint that you're always growing and developing, so that it's not just like a one-time thing, boom, I've acquired it. You see athletes, since we were talking about athletes before, you see some that like to practice, some that don't. And there's a whole different mixture around there of whether or not they improve as a result of that practice, but the majority of them do.
All right, we've got to take a break. We're going to come back. I want to continue the conversation. What do you practice? If talent is the discussion, what do you practice? We're going to be right back. Show's called Job Talk 1. Welcome back, Job Talk 1. Coach Ron Tunick. What do I do? I'm a motivational speaker and a business coach. Tommy Cairns. What do you do during the day? You're a professor at Azusa Pacific.
Yeah.
Very nice, beautiful school.
It is.
Really, Azusa Pacific is a beautiful
campus.
school. Turns out a lot of great young people, and you're a professor there. Before we went to break, we were talking about talent, and what would you say to our listeners if you're trying to acquire talent, which you can? So what kind of talents, if you're not born, tall, dark, and handsome like I am, you can't acquire that, but you can acquire the ability to be a great leader.
Yes.
You can acquire, I think about you all the time, and you're just easy to be with, and that's a great talent. You're easy to be with. Vince Scully, easy to listen to. So just being easy to be with in itself is a great talent, because working either for the government or in large organizations, you're somebody that other people are going to like, and that in itself is a great talent. Though it's interesting, I know it's trite to say this, but it's so true in the real world. You promote people you like, you hire people you like, and you don't keep people you do not like. Right or wrong on that?
No, I would agree with that. It's actually interesting when you would say that, because I do have a low-key style, and I worked for some type A people that they would look at how they got things done, which was really sometimes rolling over people, and that wasn't my style, but yet things got accomplished. And they would struggle trying to figure out how I got those things done because I didn't do it the way they did it. And I think that's an important aspect about leaders, that everybody doesn't have to do it the same way you do. There are a variety of different ways. And I think in terms of talent that you want to develop, and you have to look and see what's critical to being successful, and you're going to work with people. So if you have to be able to, one, put a good team together that complements one another. It supplements your weaknesses and brings out other strengths, but you have to know how to manage that group. So being able to be a part of a team but also manage teams is very important. So that's something you learn. You can learn to be a better manager of teams. Yet, as you were talking about the coach here at COC, there are certain parts of how he manages and coaches his teams that has led him to be successful. Not everybody can duplicate that, but there are some innate pieces, but there are also some other fundamental elements that you can do to develop the talent that you actually have on that particular team.
Well, your strength. And I've not been in a work environment with you, but I've been in a social, and so your strength, part of your talent is getting the cooperation of others. And when you do that, you create a team. When you do that, other people want to be involved with you, and they want to work. They want to accomplish.
Right.
When you look at the millennials, though, if it's technology is the future and they're sitting in front of a computer screen, or they're working with a mechanical object, I was going to say that won't talk back, but probably in 5 years those robots will be, hey, you dummy, you pushed the wrong button. It's going to be interesting. It really is going to be interesting.
Well, and that you mentioned
what the talent is. The question is what is going to be the talent,
right,
to give you a life of, let's say, financial security, to give you a life of value, to give you a life of enrichment. What talent, in our generation, if your talent was, you had a great work ethic, that was pretty good to stay on the job. If you had other talents like leadership, or you were smart, or you knew how to get along with people, or you were an innovative thinker, boy, then you moved up the ladder. But now going forward, are those things going to be as important as other things? We're going to find out, aren't we?
We are. And one of the elements for millennials too, that the majority of millennials that are leaving jobs are leaving because they don't feel fulfillment, or that it doesn't serve a purpose. So when you think about technology, how does technology enhance your life?
Yeah, great question. All right, see you next week on the show called Job Talk 1. Tommy Cairns and the coach. Next week, we've got a very, very famous person that's going to be on the show. I don't want to give it away, but famous. We'll see you down the road, Job Talk 1, and have a wonderful day. No texting or driving.